Hey guys, welcome back to the letter. This is CGA Gamer Girl signing up. So, last episode, Ash had an up close and personal encounter with the Curse Lady. And, well, needless to say, he believes Isabella now. Managed to escape after I failed the QTE once, because that was probably the most stressful QTE out of all of them. Especially with her just slowly crawling forward. That was so creepy. Cold, Luxburn air meets me upon stepping out of the hallway. Not unusual in itself, this is what Luxburn weather is supposed to be. A bit cold, damp for the most part, and more often than not terribly drab with an occasional sprinkling of rain every few hours. The sky is still clear, but I'll give it a day or two before the weather takes a turn for the worse. I've complained about the awful rains for years now, despite having lived here my entire life. I have to admit though, seeing it return to the usual feels extremely reassuring. At least something's still normal in the world when I can no longer think the same for the situation we're in. Nightmare, and that's probably all this is. Usually I'll say, I've been through worse. But that's simply another lie I've often told myself, isn't it? And I found myself a great deal of lies through the years. So, just so I won't have to think about it the next day. Maybe we won't even have this problem. We wouldn't even have this problem if I hadn't been running away and ignoring things, hiding them someplace no one will see, because I've since believed doing so is a show of weakness. Zack's probably right. Perhaps I've always been afraid there's some damn truth to what Isabella's been saying, knowing I've no clue how to deal with it. And now, after it stared me right in the face, I'm at a loss. Scared shitless, in fact.
The fuck do I know about ghosts, though?
What does Zack? What does Rebecca? Z-Man has shown me photographs, mentioned weird things happening around him these past few days. Bottom line, he likely knows about as much as I do. Why else would he approach me? This guy knows stuff. The guy who knows stuff, according to him. In the end, all I've done was give him the brush off. Some reliable guy I am. Hell, Rebecca's probably in the same boat, grasping for anything that might provide an answer, a way out of this. What can any of us do when all of us lacks any understanding of what's happening? One thing's clear about this, however. That thing is after us because of the letter. Both Rebecca and Zack have seen it too. She'll go after them as well. Excuse me. Yet here I am walking up to Becca's door one slow step at a time. A stalling tactic to allow myself some time to put the mess in my head in a better order. How to phrase this? When there's a 90% chance she's so pissed about a whole different matter. It's the only reason we didn't check on her last night aside from the ungodly hour Isabella and I had arrived. Well, we'll only alarm her by showing up in her home in the middle of the night, acting like babbling lunatics. And her anger can last quite a while. These days, it seems the only one she can easily forgive is Isabella. But even with her, Becca's fuming still takes hours. I run my hand through my hair and straighten out my jacket before knocking. Once, twice, and 3 times just to be sure she's heard me, even if she's asleep. She's usually awake by now, though.
Hey, Becca, it's Ash. Open up. Don't tell me you're still in bed.
Seconds tick by. No answer from her, and a dread has started to creep up. I've been trained to handle dire situations, but the feeling has been doing that quite frequently since last night. My mind begins to anticipate the worst, and the next minute concern is still mixed in with my thoughts, and I bang my fist on the door, louder this time. She'll definitely be livid, but I'd rather face her wrath than a dead body.
Becca, it's Ash. There's something we need to talk about right away. Open up, I know you're...
Your girlfriend left early this morning, pretty boy. So if you could do us a bloody favor and shut up, that'd be real fucking polite.
My aunt pauses short of landing another heavy knock. From the other unit, Rebecca's other neighbor peeks in through his door, though I see nothing but a bundle of blankets. I'll say they need help from being devoured by their sheets, but it sounds like he's just fine. He's a huge asshole, too. Course of action so people like him won't ruin your day? Act like the nicest person on the planet. It's done me wonders when I was a rookie patrolling the streets. No need to match his temper.
Oh, did she say where she was going?
I don't know. She said something about meeting someone or something, in case Filipina girl over there asks. Well, what am I, her keeper? You know, some people want to sleep in on a bloody Sunday, so keep it down. Was looking forward to this weekend. Thanks, you damn git.
Well, there's no need to be an ass about it. I'll get out of your...
He slams his door shut without warning, but not before admiring a string of very colorful words about me. Probably things I won't hear him inside the four walls of his apartment.
Jerk.
And that's the end of it. A sigh. So Rebecca's not here. Must have missed her by an hour or so, but at least she's not alone, so she should be safe. In theory. More so if the person she's meeting with is who I'm thinking. Nevertheless, I still can't help but worry. It's an easy thing continuing down increasingly darker lines of thought. To act brashly. To find out where she is and go straight there without deliberating on my actions first. There's Zack to boot. Rebecca's not alone, but I can't say the same for the big guy. Simple phone call to the both of them should do the trick. It'll ease my nerves at any rate. Better than rushing over to Zack's place or assuming Rebecca's whereabouts, and finding out they're not where I've guessed they should be. Assuming the worst will come next, which I'd rather avoid this early. Any other reason I won't bother them, but an emergency begs for urgency. This is one, right? Even if it isn't, anxiety from concern dulls judgment. Something I most certainly can't afford to lose at any given time, especially right now. Any means to calm it will do wonders for the muddled mess my mind is already in. Who's Abigail? Close friends, others. Why is Professor Clark in the close friends? You seem to be pretty good with him. Pulling out my phone, I thumb through the screen until it ends up on a group with only Zack's, Rebecca's, and Isabella's numbers listed. Other people will probably say I keep too few friends when they chance on this. To some extent, it's true. I can easily name about 100 people I've been acquainted with through the years. Colleagues, blockmates from uni, neighbors, those sorts of people. They all come and go. But these three? These three have chosen to stay for some reason, without wanting or asking for anything. Unlike the others, none has Zack's kindness, Rebecca's patience, nor the sincerity in Isabella's eyes. One day these guys are just there, next thing I know, being with them eases it. That heavy, somber feeling lingering in the air when you stand alone in your apartment, or something as simple as spending your day off without anyone. I'll say it's loneliness, but this carries much more depth than that. If I can help it, I don't want to lose any of them to some stupid curse. Phone call may be the least comforting thing at the moment. Honestly, I prefer being in the same room with them right now, but I'll take what I can get. Becca first. She'll get angry at me for worrying about her. She isn't some helpless damsel in distress after all. She isn't the shy little girl I knew when we were children. We're already far from the people we were back then, but that's more than enough reason to check on her. I don't have to imagine her taking anything head on. She'll do it instead of asking for help when she needs it. I don't care if she gets mad at me, if only to know that she's fine. A ring. In the silence of the hallway, its sound alone might as well be sharp enough to pierce through my ears. Another second passes. 2. 3. But when, on the ninth ring, it goes straight to voicemail, a cold feeling instantly lodges in my stomach.
Rebecca Gales here. You've reached my voicemail. Sorry if I can't get to you right now. Oh, and if this is Isabella, yes, you're free to reheat the food in my fridge. Otherwise, leave a message.
Probably just busy, that's all. Though I still barely manage to keep my voice even when I speak.
Hey, Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
Becca will be alright. Is alright. She's safe. She's with someone else. In the event that woman shows up, she'll have someone with her. Someone she'll be able to ask for help. She's safe. She can handle herself. Becca might have a fiery temper, but she knows when she's faced with something she can't handle herself. Rebecca will see my missed call, and she'll call back. Though I don't express it enough, Rebecca is someone I consider important to me. She's been my friend for the longest. Anybody else would have been fed up with me and left. The girl stuck by me, no matter how big of a jerk I've been. There's Zack and Isabella now, too, of course. I'll always be thankful for having them around. The worst times before, however, Becca was there. No one believes it when I say it, but I've surely had my awful moments as a bratty kid and as a horrible teen. Issues. I've too many of them to count and refuse to deal with for a time. At least it's what Andrew likes to tell me. I tend to think nothing of it. It's mellowed down over the years, thanks to the professor mostly. But at times I do wonder if it still burdens me the way it did all those years ago. After all, I was a terrible, especially around the time of my parents' separation. Looking back at it now, I had no reason to direct all my frustration towards everyone else. While I wasn't a kid who lashed out at anyone, preferring to keep to myself, turning those negative feelings into more productive things, I've grown distant from a lot of people because of it. From my old friends back in my old school, the neighbors I've hung out with before moving, habit I've likely brought with me into adulthood. I was just so angry with everyone and everything. All I kept thinking about myself. Wondering why me? In retrospect, I was a selfish little bastard who thought the world revolved around me. That I shouldn't have been going through it. I believed my behavior was entitled, that I had the right. Tough times, but she stuck with me. Snapped at me out of my little skull, as she often phrases it, whenever she sees a chance to bring it up. She didn't tolerate my bullshit. She didn't leave me alone either. If anything, the whole thing made her stick around. Her concern may have grown a bit overbearing as the years went by, but she's still an old friend, nevertheless. I owe her a lot. That won't change.
Damn it. Where are you, Becca?
Another message left on her voicemail, then on my third call, I hang up. For the time being, I can't do anything more than wait for her to return my calls. Worrying aimlessly won't get me anywhere. Zack, on the other hand, the guy attracts trouble no matter how much he tries to avoid it. Doesn't help how he hasn't been too hot lately with a lot of people. His mention of plans yesterday doesn't sit too well with me either. He might be the next responsible adult after Becca, out of the four of us, but I still gotta check on the big guy. Making sure he's doing okay, at the very least, whatever he has planned on doing. All I'm asking is for it not to be idiotic. He's a sensible guy, I'm sure. However, desperation clings and pushes people to do things. Rational or irrational, doesn't matter. Clear thinking flies out the window the moment. Clear thinking flies out the window the moment you're in danger. I sincerely hope he's not found himself in a tricky situation. His phone doesn't even ring before he answers. Or his voicemail, at least.
Hey, it's Zack. Well, a voicemail anyway. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, just leave a message, yeah? And no, Ash, you're not allowed to lockpick your way into my apartment again. Just do what any other decent human being does and call if I'm not around. Thanks.
Did he turn it off? Why? I don't want to assume the worst yet. Maybe he's forgotten to charge it. Can't be. Guy can be a bit of a Boy Scout, even more than I am as a cop. He's the type who has an extra battery or power bank in his bag, if he ever needs it. And he always does. He won't say anything or brag about it, but he's got quite the roster of VIP freelance clients. He won't just leave his phone dead in case he's on the field, particularly when people will likely be looking for him. He always leaves his connection open whenever clients or his friends need him. Zack is reliable like that.
Why isn't anyone answering?
Excuse me. His mobile in an out-of-range area sounds more plausible, although the thought of it doesn't completely shake off the unease. Unlike Rebecca and I, he took the time to listen to what Isabella said. And even if he didn't believe it, he was definitely the first one to offer help or try to do something. If he ends up in trouble doing whatever it is, so help me, I'm going to. No, I can't be rash. I'm aware of that. Been running the same reminder in my head since last night. But if something happens, I'm certain my reaction won't be pretty. The added guilt from those times I've repeatedly dismissed him will surely haunt me.
Yo, Zack, call me back, alright? I wanted to check in and, yeah, just please call me back.
It's usually a joke between us when I say he's the Watson to my Sherlock. I don't see him as some assistant to put aside until he's needed, like some people like to believe, though. He's not some pity friend I keep around to make myself look good.
If anything, he's the one who stayed by me out of pity.
Zack's the one who puts up with me the most of the time, even when he doesn't need to. It's not a case of a cool cop who helped out a minority. In truth, I was hard-headed, hot-tempered, and reckless rookie, up until I met him. It wasn't anything sudden, and some part of me is still that rookie, but I've grown thanks to him. He tempers that part of me. Considering how our first impressions went, I'm lucky he stuck around. Becca and I may have spent a lot of years together as children, but Zack, he's probably the closest thing I'll call to a best friend, though it's more than that. Camaraderie no words can express. He has my back and I'll always have his. He's a brother I've never had the luck of ever having, only child and all.
And I have every reason to worry about my brother.
Becca's neighbor did say she went out to meet with someone, no specific names. If I'm wrong and she's not with Professor Clark, maybe it's with Zack? They've never been close, but it's not the kind of awkward friendship where meeting together remains out of the question. Regardless, I continue dialing for his phone for another 3 times, like I've done with Becca's. In the end, after the 3rd attempt with no one answering, I stop and move to cut the call with a ragged exhale.
Waiting game it is, then.
I've been trained for those. Hell, I'm used to them, just not when it comes to people I'm close to. Much as I keep reminding myself to maintain a level head, it's a whole different matter when it's someone you know. Personal feelings will likely get involved at some point. It's starting now, actually, with the anxious streams coiling and uncoiling, causing a racket inside my stomach. And that's exactly when the line finally connects. Before he even speaks, my questions already slipped out, including every pent-up worry and tension in my body.
Where are you?
The line's choppy, though I can still make out the words he's saying. Nothing to worry about then. He's just someplace where network coverage is shitty. Can't imagine where at this time of the morning, though. Did you go out for a jog?
What was that, Ash? Could you repeat that? Signal shitty here.
I asked, where are you? Hell, Zack, I've been calling your number for a good 20 minutes now. What kind of shithole did you get into?
I've meant that to sound as friendly as possible. To keep things light, at least, instead only the frustration shows in my tone.
Good morning to you, too. I should be asking you that question. I've been looking all over the mansion for you. I thought you'd be...
What mansion?
Do I really need to answer that?
Why are you even...
Please don't tell me that's his plan. A morning visit to the mansion, where Luke Wright is? Of all the pig-headed things to do right now, it's the best thing he could come up with, breaking and entering. I've got plenty of reasons to rail at him right now, although no matter how much I want to give him a piece of my mind, unfortunately it's not the time.
No, wait. Just get your ass to Isabella's place, and hurry.
He pauses a moment, a second of indecision while he seems to contemplate his options.
How urgent is this?
In truth, the hesitance and indecision in his voice has caught me completely off guard, and understanding dawns on me. His decision to go there isn't one born out of a stupid impulse. He must have found something. However, no matter urgent it is, he still shouldn't have gone there, alone at that. Despite myself in that split second of comprehension, I allow it to show. A weakness. A simple request brimming with every unease and disquiet causing turmoil within me since last night. It bears a selfish hope that he'll understand. Even through the unstable signal that whatever's keeping him there, he'll be willing to set it aside for now.
Pressing enough for you to stop asking questions and get yourself here. Please, Zack.
Silence fills the other end of the line again. For a long moment, I assume he won't heed it and I'll have to drive there myself, just to drag him away from whatever danger he's skirting. Thankfully, he agrees.
I'll be there in a few. An hour or two tops.
Thanks. I'll see you.
Relief washes over me as soon as the call ends. Normally, I don't allow myself a moment of respite in times like this. Gotta stay alert. Rebecca's still out there and has yet to return any of my messages. But for the moment, I relish in it. This is probably the first time I've permitted myself to do so since last night. Even the muscles in my shoulders have been complaining for all the tension I've taken on. Still annoys me that all I can do right now is grit my teeth and trudge back to Isabella's apartment. Useless. That's what I am in the face of this. A mad dash around Luxborn and Anselm isn't going to help things. It's not like I'll simply stumble across them on the side of the road during a drive. The city's too big a place for one person to go searching for only two people. I'll be lucky if I even glimpse the hair of either of them. With one last hopeful glance towards the open skies, I slip back into Isabella's apartment and close the door behind me. I might have already grown used to this, but the waiting will always be the hardest part. More so when it's the people you care about.
You're up early. I thought you left.
This is not the first time I've seen Isabella like this. Standing casually by her kitchenette, a ladle in hand, keeping an eye on whatever's stewing among the stone while humming a soft tune under her breath. 5 years ago, it's become a common sight after the three of them, including Zack and Rebecca, found mutual interest in cooking. After that, whenever our schedule allows it, one of them will invite everyone to dinner or lunch instead of eating out. Rebecca prefers it that way. Healthier, she claims. Zack's just too happy to be able to cook for everyone. Isabella, on the other hand, as long as there's food, she's happy. Me? I've been banned from the kitchen ever since the pressure cooker incident. Easier times. Good times. Right now, however, the scene brings an odd sense of normality. A strange fit with all the things going on around us. Not unwelcome, only bizarre, I suppose? Isabella doesn't follow up on her question earlier, but she does raise an eyebrow my way when I take too long to answer. For that, I only offer a casual shrug in response and a short answer.
I've checked with Zack and Rebecca. I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
I'll add in a quip or two for her, if the timing for a joke isn't off or doing so won't be inappropriate. Don't want to alarm her either. There's no reason to. Yet. Until Zack gets here or I've received an answer from Rebecca, whichever comes first. Nevertheless, it's clear she has plenty of questions. It's right there in the subtle crease between her eyebrows and the inquisitive gleam in her eyes. Curious as she is, though, she decides against voicing all of her questions out. Instead, she shifts her attention back to the stove and gestures vaguely with her hand in the couch's direction.
Well, if we're going to wait for them, don't stand around there. It's getting distracting.
You're just cooking. How am I distracting?
I don't know. Something might explode again, maybe. Zack's kitchen ban for you is also in effect here, you know. Now shoo, go. Stop hovering. You'll ruin the food. I'll be done here soon.
She leaves no room for an argument by swatting the ladle at me, and just like that, I've been kicked out of the kitchen. Left with nothing else to do, I drift back to her tiny living space and slump down on the couch. Closing my eyes, I allow the noise from the television to guide my thoughts. The ones I've been keeping at bay, freeing them from the cage I've built around them so I won't have to think. One by one, they trickle back into my consciousness, each more frightening and unnerving than the other. So many things going on. So many things happening. The papers we've gotten from BRC doesn't provide any comfort either. Seriously, is there even a point to those after last night? What will asking those people do? If anything, this only proves there might be more copies of the dumb piece of paper. We have one here. But how many exactly is there out there? More importantly, how do we get out of this stupid mess?
Ashton.
Damn it, I haven't felt this kind of bone-weary exhaustion in years.
I don't want to think what might happen next in case I miss something. Shit.
Rebecca, Zack,
They're all
Isabella.
depending on me, and
Ash!
The voice snaps me out of my thoughts, abruptly wiping away everything running a racket inside my head. Suddenly, Isabella's there, crouched in front of me when I crack an eye open. I haven't even noticed the exact moment when I've bent over and buried my head in my hands. Figures why she's staring at me like I fainted or something. The crease on her eyebrows grows deeper at my lack of response. Although she's merely staring at me without a word, her expression says everything. So much for trying not to alarm her with bad news.
Sorry, I just spaced out for a moment. Don't mind me.
For a brief moment, she seems to accept that. Quietly, she shifts, stands up, and takes the empty space right beside me. All done without a single comment. Next thing I know, she's gently pushing a bowl in my hands. The scent reaches me first, before I've gotten a chance to take in what she's just handed me. A faint, sweet smell of cocoa wafts from the dish. Calming, comforting, despite the multitude of things bothering me. Certainly smells like the kind of food you'll eat on a rainy day. Though from the get-go, it doesn't look as appetizing. What is this even? Porridge? Why would you put chocolate in it? And milk drizzled on top? She tells me my tastes are weird, yet here she is, handing me something equally as strange. In fact, she's already started digging into hers. I'm just not sure the taste will be equally as appealing. Baffled, I glance her way. She offers no immediate answer, simply continues eating as if she hasn't done so in a week, with her focus solely on the television. She's not watching, however, just listening. As a background noise, the voices from it seems too cheerful, a welcome distraction if anything. It's only after she's finished off half of the bowl does she acknowledge the question in my eyes. With a sigh, she cradles the dish in her lap and looks down at it. Briefly, her lips part, then closes. Hesitation, though I don't push her. There's a distant air on her, as if she's remembered something that warrants a poignant thought. When she speaks at last, it's a tone too careful, like she's weighing her words, considering the proper phrasing for it. Yet, sincerity underlies each syllable once they're out in the open.
You should eat. Back at home, Mama would never let us leave the house if we hadn't eaten breakfast yet. Even Papa has got an earful when he tried. So eat. You'll need it.
She returns to her food afterwards, while I can only stare at the one she's proffered not a few minutes ago. Warm against my hands, tempting me to take a bite. Not that I don't appreciate this, but what good will this do? Zack and Rebecca's both out there. Who knows when that ghost will show up again? Even in our dreams, we're not safe. But that's it, isn't it? We don't know when, and at present, we have a chance at respite. Maybe the only one we'll have. Even if it's as mundane as sharing food between us quietly, just sitting side by side like this, without exchanging any words. The intent hangs unspoken in the air. Something that probably goes as far back as the second she offered food. Still, in the end, Isabella never pushes it. Rather, she lets her own silence convey her hope. Whether I'll allow myself that break, she leaves it up to me. Let's take her offer. We're almost full with Isabella! The words roll off my tongue, awkward and unfamiliar, far removed from those jests and quips we shared. Yet she accepts it with a smile and nothing more, regardless of everything left unsaid. The sight of it brings comfort. More so than any generous offer of food can give. Though we both lapse into silence after, as we finish our food, there's ease in it. In this. In the muffled sounds of Lux burn filtering the room. The light streaming from her window and the faint draft occasionally drifting in, catching the loose tendrils in her hair. The way her voice falters when she tries to form words. And despite the horror looming over us, I find myself wishing for the minutes to slow, for the seconds to last. When ultimately, she's the one who breaks it. Softly after a minute's pause and words mumbled under her breath. Sometimes, silence simply compels us to speak.
I've been wondering, before last night, before Mama told me the news, what if Papa passes away, despite everything? That sort of thing. I know it's not good to think about, but I also knew it was getting worse. Mama won't say anything, but I've always known that one day, he'll eventually.
She releases a sigh as her grip on the bowl she holds tightens. There are no tears, but she might as well have them with how weak her voice falls. Are there even any left?
I don't know what I'm going to do. Before, I can easily say it's because of Papa. Now, I don't have anything.
You have that scholarship from Lux U.
Were you going through my personal papers while I was sleeping last night?
I don't really have to. You left it sitting in the open, right there on the table.
Like there's still anything to hide, she snatches it away from where I placed it back earlier. Except there's no anger or annoyance in her face when she looks at it and rereads every line with a pensive expression. After a short while, she folds it neatly across the creases and sets it back.
I don't even know if this will work out.
Well, if it doesn't, what about that exhibit you've been planning with Zack?
Do I even have to ask where you got that?
Zack sucks at lying. You have no idea how easy he is to read. It was all in his face when I asked about it. And anyway, if that doesn't pan out too...
I trail off, hesitating, measuring the weight of my next words. Genuine as they are, part of me believes they're a burden, too heavy to impose on her. Because no matter how much I want her to stay, we're not what ties her here. It'll be selfish to ask that of her. More than anything, her family will always come first. I say it nevertheless, if only to let her know that no matter what her choice will be, there will be people here whose lives her mere presence has changed. Mine most of all.
You have us.
The words startle her to a pause. Slowly she turns to me, her eyes wide, disbelief all over her face. Before regret forces an apology at my throat, her expression dissolves to something I can't quite place. Something distinctly softer, more tender, familiar, almost in the same manner she glanced at me years ago, that day at the bridge. However, I don't get the chance to figure out what it all means for her. All of a sudden, a knock breaks the moment, just as fast, both our attention shifts towards the source. Before things can get awkward fast, I stand up to open the door while muttering some flimsy excuse in the process.
I'll get that. It's probably Zack or Rebecca.
Really, I know we're in a pinch, but their timing can't get any worse. Oh, they were so close. They were so close. I want them to hug and kiss and just... I'm gonna end the episode here. We'll continue this in the next one. Till then, this is the Gamer Girl, signing off. Bye-bye.